Just my belief. You'd be hard pressed to convince me that someone should not have term at all. I believe the term we have, every single one, like all of you here, you should have a term insurance policy first. It just makes a lot of sense. There's too much value for too little money on your part, and if something happens, you're going to be glad you had it. So we create term insurance, and let's go through some of the basic stuff. How does term insurance work? Well, Mr. Client, term insurance works like this. This is the day you buy it, and then this is the day the policy expires. So this is the day you buy it, and then this is the day the policy expires. Everybody with me so far?
Yep.
Okay. So you can buy term insurance for 10 years, for 20 years, and sometimes you can qualify to buy it for 30 years as well. Everybody with me so far?
Yes.
Yep. So for this example, let's suppose, Mr. Client, you buy a $1 million term policy. By the way, all of you should be encouraging people buy $1 million policies. I want you to really understand what $1 million is going to look like 10 years from now. What's it going to look like 20 years from now? What's it going to look like 25 years from now? Sounds like a lot of money right now, only to find out that there's a thing called inflation. That means the value of your dollar shrinks every single year. You remember when you were a kid, how much ice cream used to cost? We used to go to Thrifty's at the corner of Buena Vista and Huntington Drive. Remember that? We used to go to Thrifty's, and for $25, you used to get 2 scoops.
25 cents.
25 cents. I'm thinking, So, for 25 cents for 1 quarter, you used to get 2 scoops, and I was a kid. We used to just couldn't wait. And by the way, that was, my parents were a little hesitant to buy us the 20, because that's 4 kids. So that's $1 to buy ice cream. Like, it's kind of expensive. Well, go today. Go to, what's that one where they whip up with all the steam and all that? What's the one they call it?
Cold Stone?
No,
No,
Creamistry.
no.
Creamistry.
The chemistry one?
Yeah, chemistry.
Creamistry.
Creamistry. Go buy 2 scoops today. $8.
Really?
Yep.
$8. Well, by the way, I did it.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I did it. $8 for 2 freaking scoops of chemistry. I know they do a little circus deal there, and they puff it out, and kids are all amazed. It's like your kids get like a little show, and then they hit you for $8. Just the way they got the little gas and all that. Okay. Anyway, so it's a thing called inflation. So all the people that buy to like $200,000, $300,000 a term, they're kind of doing themselves a disservice. Hey, dude, drink less coffee and buy more insurance. Okay, cut cable like in half, and then buy more insurance. You'll be glad you did. So buy a big policy. All men should have a big one. I just had a guy in there yesterday, and we're sort of going back and forth because he wanted to go with a $500,000 policy, right, D? Yeah. With a $500,000 policy. It's like, come on, dude. I have $10 million a term. You gotta have one. And they caught him. It's like, let's go with at least one. Not $500,000. Like, $500,000. What? 20 years from now, what's $500,000? It's maybe the equivalent of $150,000 today. If you die today and you have a family and you got mortgage, and your family got a check for $150,000, how long does that last? What did it do? It did a little bit. It didn't do a lot. It did a little bit. So someone today, you see, like Allstate and Farmers, they sell policies for $75,000, $100,000. You see it. You go out in the field. What do you have? Oh, we have Farmers. Okay, let me see your policy. $75,000 of life insurance. Are you kidding me? It's not enough to pay off any debt. Not enough to pay off any mortgages. So people have these little policies. So these companies are racking up all this money on the wrong product and the wrong amount. If you're going to buy insurance, really buy insurance. Y'all with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy insurance, you really buy it. Don't fake yourself into it. Don't get a $75,000 policy. What's that for? And especially if you can qualify for it. And if you buy term for $1 million, and let's suppose, just so that it's fair, let's suppose you're age 40. Can someone get on Transamerica real quick and give me the premium on this? Natalia, help me out with this. So you're 40 years old, and just suppose you're preferred.
I have someone who's 35. Can we do that one?
Okay, 35. There we go.
For preferred, just preferred, not preferred plus.
Preferred.
30 years is $95.
$95.
Male.
That's cheap.
$95, male, preferred. There it is right here. So age 35, $1 million, $95 a month. Everybody with me so far on that? Okay, so here we go. So you buy a policy for 30 years, age 35, If you take 30 years to 35, that takes you out to age 65. Can everybody confirm that with me?
Yes.
So you are covered now, which is called the high risk zone of your life. Write that down. When you're selling a term, you explain why people are buying it. You're buying insurance, Mr. Client, so that this covers you during the high risk zone of your life. What do we mean by that? The high risk zone of your life means if you're 35, what are the chances you have a mortgage at age 35?
High.
Okay, the chance. What are the chances you have small children?
High.
What are the chances you're in debt and gonna acquire more debt?
High.
Okay, you follow?
Yes.
So we buy lots of insurance for a small amount of money, so that if anything happens in between these 30 years, if it happens all right here, within these 30 years, guess what? Mortgage is paid off, kids are put through college, debt is paid off, cars are paid off, the family now receives a chunk of money with all debts being paid to the side. So it is my true belief that everybody should have a big term policy for a small premium, especially if they're young. If you are in your 30s and 40s, you need to seriously consider buying a minimum $1 million policy because it's peanuts. Look at this, 95 bucks. There's a whole bunch of expenses out there that cost way more than 95 bucks that give you nowhere near the kind of value. This is big value for a little bit of money. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so that includes all of you. Some of you guys are sitting in this room, you don't have $1 million policy. What's your deal? By the way, you're selling them, but you don't have it? It's a tough lick. You're training a guy at the gym and your body fat index is 39%. I want you to consider, you ever seen heavy set trainers?
Yeah.
Like I've been to the gym, that dude says, I'm a bad personal trainer, and the guy was kind of round. I'm a little wary. I was like, really? Who are you training first? $1 million policy, $95, male, preferred. He bought it at age 35. Mr. Client, here's the uniqueness of our product. We, over the last few years, we're with a company called Transamerica, and Transamerica has created a product that we believe is far more advantageous than your traditional policy out there. With our policy, Mr. Client, we get 3 benefits. Benefit number 1, let's just be really real, that if you die, your family, if you die within the term, if you die within the block, your family, if you die, your family would receive the death benefit, and typically that benefit comes to them 100% tax-free. Remember, life insurance proceeds, the claim on the life insurance policy is tax-free. Whenever you receive money from an insurance source, it is typically tax-free. If you total your car and State Farm sends you a check for $50,000, that $50,000 is free of tax. Everybody with me? If you have health insurance and you have Blue Cross and you broke your leg and you go to the hospital and you pay the expense and they reimburse you, they give you $27,000 check. Is that $27,000 check taxable?
No.
No. So insurance money is not. From a claim standpoint, it is not taxable. So if someone dies and the family receives that $1 million check, they will receive that $1 million check 100% tax-free. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay, so just so you guys understand. Okay, benefit number 2. Mr. Client, let me ask you a question. What is the likelihood of you getting sick? Listen closely. What is the likelihood of you getting sick before you die?
High likelihood.
Okay, are you asking these questions?
Yes.
By the way, if you ask these questions, do you put the client at thought to reference all the people they've seen in their life who have passed away? And typically when people pass away, they're typically sick before they pass away. I understand there are people who die immediately. Car accident, boom, they're gone. They drown immediately. They get shot immediately. They have a heart attack immediately. But a heart attack typically is sickness that realizes itself at one point. So I want you to know that we have a product that will pay you. It is called critical. So there is a benefit in case you become critically ill. So benefit number 1 is if you get sick of cancer, which is one of the big killers in America, or a stroke, or number 3, if you suffer from a heart attack and not die. So Mr. Client, another question. Could it happen where you get sick from cancer and not die, or you suffer a stroke and not die, or you suffer from a heart attack and not die. And by the way, can we all reference someone in our life or that we've known that has one of these three and they're still alive?
Yes.
Okay, all of them. My dad had cancer, didn't die until like a year and something. I've seen people, I got a cousin right now who has cancer of the stomach. He lives right here in Montclair. And he's like 7 months into it, he's not dead. But you know what happens? While you're suffering with one of these right here, typically he knows no longer working, so his income, here's his income, he gets sick, income immediately goes down. Expenses go up because now he has expenses that he didn't have before. I want you to really put yourself in this sad space. If you had a stroke, you now need medical attention, you need doctor visits, you need therapy, you need medication that you didn't need before. Is that correct?
Yep.
So those are new expenses in your life that you didn't have before. If you have new expenses in your life and your income went down, I want you to look at life. Your income went down and your expenses went up. How do you like that picture? By the way, is that real?
Yes.
Does that happen?
All the time.
Absolutely. So let people know, hey, this is likely, this can happen. Are you completely immune to it? Are we naive enough to think that this cannot happen to us?
No.
Even me. Could it happen to me? Could I suffer from one of these right here and my income will go down? Yeah, probably would. I probably wouldn't be at meetings. If I suffered a stroke, I probably wouldn't be at meetings. Which would, in some way, shape, or form, affect my business a little bit. Even WFG. Thank God I'm protected in many other ways, but yes, even me. So what if you just have one source of income, you drive a truck, and you suffered a stroke, can you still drive that truck?
Nope.
No! What happens to your income? Way down. Now you go to disability. Now you go to disability. What does disability pay according to your 100% income? It pays a fraction. So here's your income. Say you make $90,000 a year, you suffer a stroke, you're now at home trying to take care of the stroke. What's your income? Drastically less. What do your expenses look like? Drastically more. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so our policy says that if you suffer from cancer, stroke, or heart attack during the term, the company will look at your death benefit and they're going to give you up to 90% of that $1 million while you are alive. Mr. Client, you suffered a stroke, that's not good, and you're broke, that's not good. But you bought a policy from a Transamerica person who explained it to you, and now you file your claim and they give you up to, by the way, when people say, well, why is it up to? Well, because depending on the severity. There are mild illnesses, there are moderate ones, and there are severe ones. Write those down. Mild, there's degrees of sickness. There's a mild sickness, there's a moderate sickness, and there's a severe sickness. The compensation or the claim, not the compensation, but the claim amount is directly related to how mild, how moderate, or how severe it is. Everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay, so you open people's eyes. Having said that, for $95 a month, Mr. Client, Mr. 35-year-old male preferred, for $95 a month, should you not have this? Are you gonna roll the dice that this is never gonna happen to you? For $95 a month, you're not gonna have this protection. Because here's the reality. More than likely, that $1 million is for you. Not necessarily your family, because remember, you're probably likely to get sick before you die. Do most people get sick before they die?
Yeah.
Yes. That's why we have hospitals. That's why there's hospice. That's why there's home care. That's why there's all this stuff going on. Most people get sick before they die. It's like checking out, checked out. True?
Yeah.
Most people get ready to die by getting sick, boom, then they're gone. That's most people. I understand there's some sudden ones. That's where this one comes in. But if it's not sudden, if it's over time, then this one will take care of you. Everybody with me?
Yes.
So, these 10 conversations, remember your mouth? That's the less used marketing tool you have. These 10 conversations you're not having, it's costing you this right here. That's a benefit for the client, but that's also a premium for you. So there's a few $100s to be made here. Not a whole lot, but if you have plenty of these in your business, then you're going to be taken care of. Number 3, Mr. Client, could you become chronically ill? There's a thing out there called an ADL. Explain this to people. ADL. ADL stands for Acts of Daily Living or Activities of Daily Living. Mr. Client, there's considered to be 6 activities of daily living. So every human being wakes up, on a normal basis, and they are able to function and do 6 of these acts of daily living. Our policy says, Mr. Client, that if you cannot perform 2 out of the 6, if you cannot perform 2 of the 6 acts of daily living, then we're gonna take that money right here and we're gonna start to pay it to you on a monthly basis. Let's go through these first. Number 1, what happens if one day you wake up and you no longer can take a shower or a bath by yourself? Are you familiar, or do you know of anyone who can't bathe themselves anymore?
Yes.
They don't have the physical ability to get in the shower, turn on the water, take care of their hygiene. They can't do that anymore. Someone needs to help them bathe and shower. My mom was a CNA. All she did was help people with their daily hygiene. So, pretty tough lift. What about, could you get to the point where you suffer from what's called continence, where you cannot control your internal bowels? Your number 1 and your number 2, with regards to waste discard, you don't control them anymore. You just go at will. That's a tough lick. You're sitting at a restaurant and all of a sudden, boom, number 2 happened, you didn't even know. You're in your car, number 1 happened, you didn't even know. That's a tough lick. That's called continence. So your number 1 and your number 2 waste disposals in your body. Your bowels are not strong enough to control them, and now you suffer from an issue called continence. It's a tough lick. That's a sad situation. Could it happen to you? We don't know. If it did happen to you, would you like to be protected? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Number 3. What if one day you can no longer dress yourself? You can't put on your socks, your underwear, your t-shirt, your pants, your shoes. You can't tie your shoes. You can't put on socks. You can't put on your sweater. You can't put on your belt. You are physically unable to dress yourself. That is considered one of the 6 acts of daily living. Number 4, what happens if one day you can no longer feed yourself? You can't eat by yourself. You need to be spoon-fed or through a tube. You got to write all the specific things I'm mentioning, so therefore you can learn how to do it. I'll take all questions at the end. Okay, give me a second, Dale. Okay, you all. What I said? How does someone get fed? There's 2 of them. Spoon-fed or through a tube. These are your words become pictures. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay? Your words become pictures, and those pictures enter people's minds, and then they apply those pictures to their life. That causes them to buy for their own good. It's not like I'm doing some hocus pocus and I'm trying to say this stuff to close you, but this is stuff for you to understand. Because remember, your words have got to turn into pictures. Yep. Mr. Klein, I want you to think about it. One day you can't eat by yourself. You need to be, and by the way, I do this in front of a client. You need to be spoon-fed. I go like this. You need to be spoon-fed or through a tube. I actually do that in front of them. They're like, it's real! This is legit stuff. By the way, go to a nursing home. Tonight, this afternoon, you don't have any appointments, stop by a convalescent home. Say, hey, I'm thinking about, potentially bringing a family member here. Can I take a little tour? And watch. And watch. Matt, you and I went to one of my recruits, right?
Yeah.
Okay, did we see this happening?
Yeah.
So this dude that I met at the gym playing basketball, we connected, I coded him, he's gonna get his license. And we went to his house and he runs a nursing home. We has 5, 6 people there, he calls them residents. And he has these Filipino people taking care of these patients, and this is how, like, we saw it right within our own eyes. Well, that lady right there, she can't feed herself. This one has a continence issue. A lot of them can't dress themselves. This is real. And there are some of them in their 50s, some of them in their 60s, and a lot of them in their 70s. Matt, can you confirm?
Yeah.
Not exactly what we saw?
Yeah.
Matt was there. By the way, it was my appointment, but I took a recruit with me. Number 5, what happens if you can't toilet by yourself? Is that a sad deal or what? You need to have a constant companion to eliminate your number 2. That's a tough lick. The sit down, the process, the wipe down, the whole thing. Is that a tough lick or what? Number 6, what happens if you one day can't transfer yourself? You can't move from point A to point B. Point A, for example, be in your bed. You get out of bed, you put your feet on the ground, you walk around the house, go downstairs, grab your coffee, get your keys, get in your car, move around society. What happens if one day you are no longer mobile? You need a chair, you need a walker, you need a wheelchair, or you need crutches. So, these are the 6 activities of daily living. Our product says that if you cannot perform 2 of these 6, they're going to take this money right here and they're gonna amortize it, and they're gonna give you a check, like a pension, like a social security check every single month. So therefore, you have income while you deal with your issues. When you have problems, is it better to have money to help you solve those problems? Or when you have problems, would you like to not have any money, so therefore you have no money as you try to deal with the problems? Tell me a problem that money doesn't help. At least just to have in your pocket. You don't have money in your pocket? If you had money in your pocket, would it be better?
Yep.
It's better to have and not need, rather than need and not have. Write that one down.
Yep.
It's better to have and not need, versus need and not have. True?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Client, based on what you've seen, based on what you heard, do you see any reason why you shouldn't take a look at your personal numbers for you? Let's take a look at your personal numbers. And if you grab your laptop, you go right to Transamerica, Transware, and you start asking, what is your age? And you start to do what's called field underwriting, where you assess that person. Overall, they look pretty healthy. You're likely to put them. Always start maybe a standard to preferred. Don't ever give people the best rating. Let the system or let the exam confirm that they're the best rating. Don't all of a sudden, don't necessarily volunteer it. So I'll take questions right now. Dale, you have the first one.